December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
As the world plunged into the chaos of World War II, the United States found itself in a race against time. Victory in the Pacific depended not only on superior firepower, but on a strategic advantage in logistics, maintenance, and rapid deployment. Every warship, from submarines hunting enemy supply lines to destroyers guarding aircraft carriers, needed to be battle-ready at a moment's notice. The Power to Defend, a send-off to Mare Island Shipyard's onshore powerhouses. At Mare Island Naval Shipyard, the challenge was clear. The fleet could not wait. Warships returning from battle needed rapid repairs, maintenance, and resupply to get back into the fight. But the shipyard's existing infrastructure couldn't keep pace with wartime demands. Recognizing the urgent need for expanded power capabilities, the Navy decided to build 2 electric distribution buildings to address the problem. Buildings 734 and 736 weren't just power stations. They were the lifeline of Mare Island's wartime operations.
They expanded piers out in the southern part of the island with these electrical distribution buildings built on them, 3 of them, and the Army owns 2 of them. Certainly these buildings might look sort of mundane, but they were critical to being able to bring ships in and supply power, generate power at these buildings, and then distribute it to the ships so that they could actually service up to 100 vessels at any one time during World War II, which was the peak of the manufacturing and repairs and overhauls.
Long before Mare Island became the backbone of the Pacific Fleet, it was home to the Patwin people, the ancestors of the 3 sister Patwin tribes, the Yocha-Dihi Wintun Nation, the Quetzal-Dihi Wintun Nation, and Kachil-Dihi Wintun Nation, who lived along the waterways from Sacramento to San Pablo Bay. Patwin people thrived in the region, relying on the bay's rich ecosystem for fishing, hunting, and gathering. The island's name dates back to 1835, when General Mariano Guadalupe Vallejo, a key figure in California's early history, lost his prized white mare in the bay's rough waters. The horse, believed to have drowned, was later found alive on the island, thus inspiring the name Mare Island. That name would take on new meaning in 1854, when the U.S. Navy recognized Mare Island's strategic potential and established it as the first naval shipyard on the West Coast. Its location was unparalleled. Positioned at the convergence of major waterways, it provided direct access to the Pacific Ocean, yet was protected from potential enemy attacks.
The setting on the Napa River, the Carquinez Strait, through which 40% of California's water flows, that's awesome. The island is in the midst of all of that water beauty.
The shipyard quickly became a vital hub for the expanding U.S. Navy. Under the leadership of David Glasgow Farragut, Mare Island launched its first warship, USS Saginaw, in 1859, the first Navy vessel built on the West Coast. As the shipyard grew, it played a role in every major American conflict, adapting to the evolving needs of naval warfare. By World War II, Mare Island had become a center of shipbuilding, employing over 40,000 workers.
To give you an idea of the of what it took to get 40,000 employees even over to this island. Of course, there was bridges and ferries that came across the river. My friend was the first female driver of a Greyhound bus. And because she was a woman and she was 19, she wasn't allowed to just drive a Greyhound bus in like San Jose. She had to drive it only from Mare Island to some of the outlying neighborhoods. And they drove 579 miles a day of Greyhound, going to various communities in the Bay Area and bringing workers in and taking them home.
Amid the steel and industry of Mare Island, another mission took shape, one not of war, but of healing. Established in 1869, the Mare Island Naval Hospital became a beacon of care for generations of sailors, Marines, and shipyard workers.
The Navy took care of amputations, amputees, and burns here at this hospital on Mare Island. And then Kaiser Hospital in Vallejo took care of the spinal injuries and the brain injuries. And the hospital at its peak had like 2,600 patients. So that's just an example of a very historical complex that is actually 42 acres. And supposedly Abraham Lincoln signed the budget the year that the hospital was constructed.
Not far from the hospital, the Mare Island Naval Cemetery stands as a solemn reminder of those who gave everything.
The story of the 15 young men who died in an explosion in June of 1892. How did that happen? Why did that happen? Well, the cemetery happens to be sited adjacent to the Navy's oldest ammunition depot in the Pacific. It was found in 1857. So you might say, well, accidents are bound to happen in an ammunition depot. And sadly, these young men were aboard the Boston. It was in for repairs, and they were kept busy by filling their own 6-inch shells. And an accident occurred, and 13 men were killed instantaneously, and then 2 lived for a day. And they're all buried here. What was amazing to me was how their crewmen responded, their fellow crewmen who lived, because it wasn't an explosion on the boat, it was an explosion in the ammunition depot. They immediately made a committee, and that committee decided to build a monument to them, and it's actually the largest monument in the cemetery. And it was placed on August 1st, 1892, just a few weeks after they were killed. And there were 1,000 people who walked from the 2 miles from the main shipyard to the cemetery and gathered around the unveiling of that beautiful monument to their fellow shipmates. This is a very touching story to me.
Over its 142-year history, Mare Island Naval Shipyard built more than 500 vessels, evolving with the U.S. Navy's needs, from early gunboats to nuclear submarines. Mare Island remained at the forefront of naval innovation. In 1913, it produced the USS Jupiter, the Navy's first electrically propelled ship, which was later converted into the first U.S. aircraft carrier, USS Langley, in 1922, a key step in the development of carrier-based aviation. By the early 20th century, the shipyard played a critical role in strengthening U.S. naval power. It helped prepare warships for the Great White Fleet, a 16-battleship armada ordered by President Theodore Roosevelt to demonstrate America's growing global influence from 1907 to 1909. Decades later, that naval supremacy would be tested in World War II. During the war, the shipyard became a production powerhouse, turning out submarines, destroyers, and landing craft at unprecedented speed. Among them was the USS Ward, built in just 17 and a half days, which fired the first shots of World War II at Pearl Harbor. Other ships, like the USS Birmingham and USS California, passed through Mare Island's docks as well. The USS Indianapolis arrived at Mare Island in March 1945 after suffering heavy damage from a kamikaze attack off Okinawa. After undergoing urgent repairs, the Indianapolis was soon back at sea for its most secretive and fateful mission. In July 1945, it was tasked with delivering components of Little Boy, the atomic bomb that would be dropped on Hiroshima. The ship's speed made it the perfect choice for the mission, carrying its classified cargo from San Francisco to Tinian Island in record time. Just days later, the war would come to an end.
I have received this afternoon a message from the Japanese government in reply to the message forwarded to that government by the Secretary of State on August 11th. I deem this reply a full acceptance of the Potsdam Declaration, which specifies the unconditional surrender of Japan.
In New York City, as throughout a rejoicing nation and world, vast throngs of grateful, happy people celebrate the end of fighting, the dawn of peace. 2 million New Yorkers jam Times Square. It's official. It's all over. It's total victory.
But war never truly ends, it only evolves. As the world shifted into the Cold War, Mare Island once again found itself at the forefront of global conflict. The threat was no longer open warfare in the Pacific, but an ideological battle waged across continents and oceans. The Soviet Union had emerged as a formidable adversary, and nuclear deterrence became the new front line of American military strategy. Mare Island adapted, transitioning from conventional warship repairs to nuclear submarine construction and maintenance. The same buildings that had powered World War II destroyers and submarines now supplied energy to the next generation of naval warfare, silent, undetectable, and capable of launching nuclear strikes from beneath the waves. From Pearl Harbor to the Iron Curtain, from battleships to ballistic missile submarines, buildings 734 and 736 remained at the heart of America's naval readiness. Their purpose was clear: to ensure that when conflict arose, the fleet was always ready. Now decommissioned, these structures stood as lasting examples of what the National Historic Preservation Act of 1966 was meant to protect. The 63rd Readiness Division is committed to preserving that legacy, honoring their place in the story of Mare Island and in the broader arc of American military and industrial history.
Mare Island is hard to explain. What makes it so special? It's derelict, it's intriguing, it's beautiful, it's unknown, it's mysterious, and we know that its whole fabric, its whole purpose, at least for 142 years, was to support the Navy's mission in the Pacific in every way, from making ice cream. All the ice cream for the Navy was made on Mare Island, to roasting coffee. All the coffee for the Pacific was roasted at Mare Island. All the way to every aspect of building, everything from sailing vessels to nuclear submarines.
When the shipyard closed in 1996, after more than 140 years of service, it marked not just an end, but the beginning of a new chapter. The once bustling military base transformed into a historic district that preserves its proud heritage. As the base returned to civilian use, nature quietly reclaimed its space. Mare Island has always been a place of purpose, but its final mission is no longer one of war. It is one of restoration.